Welcome to CosplayPhreak. Today we'll be reviewing my Deadpool 2 helmet. This is not a sponsored video. I purchased a 3D printable STL file from Do3D. I plan to eventually paint and weather the helmet as well as add foam to the interior for comfort. So let's take a closer look at how to make the helmet. You can purchase the file at do3d.com. You can find the link to their website in the video description below. Once you receive the file, you will need to import it into a meshing program like Meshmixer to resize and customize the file. I use sizing heads from the creator Budwin that you can find on Thingiverse to help properly size the helmet. You can find the link in the video description below. Once you have finished downloading the file, you can import the file into Meshmixer, and each one of the heads has a sizing guide on the back. Take a tape measure and measure your head circumference. Once you have that, you can now choose the corresponding sizing head that fits your measurements. To get a more custom fit, I do use 3D scans using the Creality Ferret Pro, but we are trying to make this as simple as possible, and Budwin's sizing heads do a great job. If you want to see more information on 3D scanning, please watch my previous video reviewing the Ferret Pro. Once imported, begin to align the head to the build area. After importing the sizing head, finish importing all the files for the helmet. Then begin to align the fully assembled helmet over the sizing head. This will give you a good starting point to begin sizing. I like to then position the helmet so that I can see the eyes of the sizing head matched with the eyes of the helmet. Note they will not always match, as you will need to resize the helmet. Next, begin to manipulate and size the full helmet. Make sure to enable uniform scaling to properly size the helmet. If you do this step one piece at a time, it may not align properly. So make sure that all the helmet parts are highlighted prior to resizing. When resizing, keep in mind what your goal for the piece will be. Are you printing a static file, which can be closer to the dimensions of your head, hence a tighter fit? Or are you seeking to add electronics, lighted eyes, or added padding for comfort, which will require you to have a bit more room for a looser fit that will allow space for these items? It all depends on what you're going for. Once you have it resized to your liking, save the files as object files. Now you are ready to import the files into your slicer. After opening your slicer, begin to import one part at a time and arrange the part on the build plate. Keep in mind openings and holes to properly orient the file. I like to use tree supports to minimize material use. Note, much of this is trial and error. There are times you get beautiful, consistent prints, and other times when the machine just wants to be stubborn. But that all has to do with routine maintenance, temperature control, humidity of the material, and the quality of the material itself. I'm not going to go into printer settings at this time, as that is very custom to what printer and materials you choose to use. After the file is imported, oriented, and sliced, you can then export the files as G-code files, which is what your printer will use to print your parts. I like to keep larger files separate for printing, as crowding your build plate for longer prints can lead to failures. After the file is printed, we move on to prepping the print. Now this is where you make the decision of keeping a raw file if you printed it already in the colors you are happy with, or moving forward with further processing. If you choose to keep it as a raw file, I suggest at very least to deburr and sand the edges. Begin to put the pieces together, affixing magnets as well as gluing any immovable pieces in place. You can choose to add mesh eyes, or if you are fancy, add some light up eyes. Just make sure to size the helmet larger to fit electronics if you are going that route. If you choose to move forward with a more detailed finish, it will require the arduous time of sanding. I suggest getting some good tunes prior to beginning the sanding process, as this will take some time. Once finished sanding, you can then move to paint, which will require priming, possibly more sanding, repriming, and 2 to 3 coats of paint. If you are permanently gluing any parts, make sure to think about paint prior to affixing these parts, as you may need to tape that up if you already glued the parts together. After painting, you can then go through detailing, adding shadows, highlights, and exposed blemishes for weathering. Lastly, you can add 2mm foam for padding on the inside of the helmet for comfort and proper fitting. As you can see, the helmet fits perfectly. The magnets help snap it in place and hold all the parts together. I can move it around without it falling apart, and it really looks cool for cosplay or just as a standing piece to add to your collection. You can find this specific helmet live on my Etsy store. Please find the link in the video description below. Let's discuss some of the strengths of this file. I like the overall design of the file. I feel that Do3D did a great job capturing that movie accurate feel and look of the Deadpool helmet. I like that you have the option to print several eyes and iframes that are easily swappable for different expressions. It's pretty accurate on the parts placement and magnet sizing. Note, with extensive sizing, the magnet holes will change and you will have to use different sized magnets. I used the undershell version for some of my previous Deadpool cosplays, adding fabric over the shell, and it worked out great. Here's a few pics from past cons where I used the shell version under the fabric mask. Now for some weaknesses of the file. The mask is static and expressionless. You would need to print the eyes to show some expressions. I would like to see a split concept to allow changing out expressions of the mouth. I would also like to see a half shell version for the undershell file. Overall, this is a good helmet file.
Do3D really did a great job depicting what Deadpool looks like in the first two movies. I would highly recommend this file if you planned on cosplaying as Deadpool or are a diehard fan looking for a unique piece for your collection. If you don't have a 3D printer and are looking for the physical printed file, go check out my Etsy store and I'll be more than happy to help you get your very own Deadpool helmet. I give this file 4 out of 5 stars.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video, and keep an eye out for the upcoming detail and weathering videos. Until next time, my cosplay freaks, I'll see you in the next one.